Hello and welcome. Yes, I'm in Lazy Pickle Studios, but I'm not sitting on the yellow couch because today I have guests on the yellow couch, so I'm going to start over here. Welcome back to the show. I cannot begin to tell you when I got the chance to interview these guys. I've been a fan for a long time. Their music came across my path in 2016, and I thought it was this great, incredible, loud return to rock. At the time, I just wasn't hearing any bands doing anything like that, and I was like, oh, I'm a fan. And the name of that band, the Dirty Nil. And today, I am so stoked because I get to welcome Luke Bentham and Kyle Fisher from the Dirty Nil, who've been there since the beginning, at it for 20 years now, almost 20 years, and they're coming on the show today. So let's not waste any time. Let's get down to it. It's time to talk to the Dirty Nil. Let's go.
Things are going to change. I can feel it.
If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna...
Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records with Jacob Gibbons.
But before we talk to the band, you know I got to tell you about DistroKid. DistroKid helps me keep the show going, so you need to be using distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. That gives you 30% off your first year. So make sure you're using my link, and then you can upload your music to the world. I upload my music, you upload your music, everybody wins. Why isn't your art out there for everybody to hear? So distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. Publish it. Do it. But it's time. Yes. It's time. The Dirty Nil. Welcome, Kyle Fisher, Luke Bentham. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Jacob.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And I'm wearing the shirt of the band on the podcast, which I don't think violates any cool concert rules, right? You know the old adage, which is you can't wear the band that you're going to go see, which that seems to have faded away a little bit. That seems to have been a rule from back in the day. But I don't know about podcasts. I think it's okay to wear the band that you're having on to the show. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think it's like at worst, it's a gray area. We encourage celebration of all of our iconography in all of its forms.
Absolutely. So. I love this shirt because it just says nil. You'd have to be aware. You'd have to know.
You got to be in the club.
You got to be in the club. You got to be in the know to know what it says. For those of you just listening, I'm wearing a Dirty Nil t-shirt. But yeah, I'm so glad you guys made it. I have been a fan for a while. I heard your first record when it came out.
Oh, wow.
And I remember, I don't know how I discovered it. I don't know if somebody showed it to me or it was one of those things that somehow No Weaknesses came across, you know. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is exactly what music needs right now. This was just refreshing rock. Just big guitars, good screams, good vocals, had a lot of energy to it, and I was a fan, and I've been a fan, and I don't know if you ever saw, but back in right when TikTok started to go off for me, I was doing this series called Modern Bands Making Great Music, and I highlighted Fuck Art, and I was I did, and that was 2021, and it's funny because my knowledge of you guys up until that point was like, here's this new band. But you're not new at all. You've been at this for 20 years.
Almost, yeah. Knocking on the door of it anyway.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about kind of like how the band began back in 2006.
Well, we had kind of, I guess, around 2003, 2004, everybody got guitars or drums or whatever, because there was, that's, I think, something that happens or has historically. I don't know what's going on now, but historically, that's kind of, when you come into your Squire Stratocaster pack or bar mitzvahs are happening, there's a little bit more money to invest in a new hobby, and then we also kind of had the benefit of things like the School of Rock and all those kind of like the garage rock renaissance, or bands like the Strokes, Hives, White Stripes. So there's a lot of good rock music being made around that time, and our high school or our middle school was kind of full of, everybody was just doing covers very ineptly, but there were some people that were much better. I think that by the time we got to high school, most of that had kind of faded away, and most people had kind of either put their Squire Strat pack in the closet or sold it. But we were just getting more and more excited about it, about playing music, and we started to try and we tried to start a few different bands that would basically exist for the exclusive purpose of covering some songs off that album.
Oh, yes.
But we couldn't really quite get anything going with anyone else. And then in 2005, Christmas 2005 or somewhere around there, my family got a Mac desktop computer and an
changer
interface
for home recording.
Yeah, and so I started writing songs, and then I was just like, Kyle, you want to play? I got a couple of tunes, and he was like, hell yeah. And we would blast away in my parents' basement. I remember the summer of 2006 is kind of when we really started doing things.
Yeah.
And we would just jam on War Pigs, and we had an odd selection of snippets. Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers was one of them.
I love it.
We would just play things we knew or sort of knew, and play that part over and over and over again for hours on end. Yeah,
that's amazing. But you guys have known each other since you were little kids.
Children. Infants, basically.
Yeah. Playing with toys and then instruments.
Yes.
Yeah. Bigger toys.
Yeah,
really.
bigger toys. Exactly. Yeah. You mentioned the Squire phase. That is the entry point, and if you don't have that inkling of this isn't a very good guitar, you're not going to go much past that, right? It's like you have to have that acknowledgement of, I would like to go further than this guitar.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think I was indoctrinated as a young child into the Gibson Les Paul world, and that is a cult that I will never escape. I fear.
One of them gets you young. One of them does. When you're a guitar player, I was indoctrinated in the Fender.
Yeah.
So I'm in there. I'm stuck in there. And here we are meeting together. Sharks and Jets.
Exactly.
Montagues.
We're coming together. We're bridging the divide. We're finding common ground.
I love it so much. Well, speaking of being kids, one of the things that I always ask my guests is, what is your waterproof record? And so we'll start there, because I really think that sets the stage for what changed you, because any music fan, not only musician, has that album that you hear it and then just something goes off in your brain like a fuse blows, because up until a certain point you're either listening to your parents' music, what's on the radio, what everybody else is listening to, and then there's this discovery, this album that lands in your lap, and you're like, my DNA has changed, I'm a different person. So who would like to go first sharing their waterproof record?
You go ahead.
Okay. I thought long and hard about this one, and I decided to go with a local legends recently ended their career. Sum 41's All Killer No Filler.
Yes.
Which when I thought about it, my memories of that are just being in computer lab in middle school, and we used to have I think it was down here too, there used to be that Yahoo music video player before YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
And you could always look up, and you just play that. We would just play that on repeat, in the lab.
Yeah.
I just remember that being the first time that, like you said, it wasn't my dad was a big Pink Floyd fan, so I listened to Pink Floyd and all stuff like that all the time. But once I heard Fat Lip for the first time, it was very new to me, very unique. Couldn't put a finger on it. It just made me feel very excited about music, and I really want to do this. Steve-O's drumming was really exciting to me, and it was just unlike anything I'd heard at the time.
Yeah, I actually I always ask to know them beforehand, because most of the time I've heard the record of my guests, because we all seem to be kind of like-minded in community. But that's an album that I didn't spend a lot of time with, so I listened to it a couple times while driving. No surprise you're a drummer. That's, you know what I mean? That feels like a really drum-heavy album, at least in my instinct. Yeah, I don't know much about that drummer, but I was like, that would definitely inspire me to drum. Was that one of the driving forces that you were like, I have to get a kit? Or was it before that?
For me, it was before that. I think I got really intrigued to drum when in like the 5th grade, there was an end of the year assembly, and this kid we grew up, DJ McConnell, his dad was like a really good guitar player and had a bunch of instruments, so he had grown up playing.
Yeah.
So we would have been like 10, and he just like played drums. That was his contribution to the assembly.
Yeah.
And he
I
just
was
played
there.
a drum
It was
solo by
amazing.
himself, and I was like, that's cool. That's the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
need to do that.
Yeah.
And I just kind of held on to that for whatever reason. And then when I got the courage to be like, Mom and Dad, can I please have drums?
Yes.
Then that changed. But then, yeah, Steve was playing on All Killer No Filler. It was definitely one step in the right direction.
Yeah.
John Bonham being my other big one.
Yeah. I made sure to cover Led Zeppelin in here, didn't I? Yes. Over there. Good.
Got it there.
Yeah. Sum 41. Have you had a chance to cross paths with those guys?
Yeah, fortunately, in a crazy ways that I never would have thought possible. Yeah, we did that. The biggest one of that is Luke usually does this charity event back home for J.R. Diggs Acoustic Christmas. Not really acoustic anymore, but it's
Right.
become this big
Yeah.
fun thing. Different people, whoever's available, they'll come down. So JR got Cone and Dave from Sum 41 involved, and we kind of knew them. We had known Dave for a while. We met him from a different band that he played in.
Yeah.
With our friend Chuck Coles called Organ Thieves, like a long time ago.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I guess JR asked Luke if we wanted to do some songs with them, and then Luke asked me if I wanted to do it. So we played.
That's
the first time we did it, we played In Too Deep together. And that was
Your
just,
childhood dreams coming true.
It was crazy.
It was
You're just
awesome.
sitting there and you're like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, that was nuts. And we got to do it again
That's-
the following year, a couple different songs as well. And we just talked to Cone on his
That's awesome.
podcast before we were out on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool, man. That is awesome. And now we move on to your waterproof record.
Yes. So I got to go with the Blue Album. I mean,
Great choice.
I think for me, the first music that I really got into that wasn't part of the zeitgeist, that was kind of my own private thing, was Nirvana.
Sure.
And I mean, I guess I can't really fully say it wasn't part of the zeitgeist. Nirvana's always going to be, but it wasn't really on the radio, it's something that I think the first time you discover some music that is not being bombarded at you, and that you kind of I feel like it gives you the grounds to form a more substantial connection with it.
Yeah.
But Nirvana was kind of my it was I just lived and breathed it. I was obsessed with it. I could ceaselessly read about it and listened to it, and was delivering my papers on my paper route, listening to Nirvana demos. And
Yeah.
But the problem for me with Nirvana was that I was kind of like 13 or so, and it's such a sad and bleak story that I think that the Blue Album for me was a really good antidote of optimism, and it just has a lot more sunshine going on than the whole Nirvana thing. Though, Nirvana is one of my favorite bands of all time, and they always will be. But I think that I needed some more optimism about life than what Nirvana was kind of. It's a darker, very heavy thing. And so when I really got into Blue Album, I had heard of Weezer. I think when we were in our 10 or 11, that's kind of when Blue Album was happening, and so Hash Pipe and Island in the Sun were big songs, and I was like, yeah, Weezer's cool, but I hadn't heard the Blue Album, and it wasn't really, at least in my memory, it wasn't like they didn't play a lot of Blue Album on the radio. It was, whenever you heard something by Weezer, it was, what their new album was doing.
Yeah.
And so, again, talking about cover bands back in the day, like one of our friends' bands played a cover of Say It Ain't So, and I had never heard that song before.
And that's a crusher.
Yeah, I'd never heard that song before, and it also helped that they were by far the best band out of all, like, our middle school cover bands. They actually I went back and watched, there's a tape of it, and I was like, they did it for a bunch of 13-year-olds. That's pretty damn good.
Do you remember their band name? I gotta know.
I don't even think they had it. Well, no, yeah. What would it have been?
It's okay if you don't remember. It's just there's nothing better than middle school, high school band.
My band was Twisted Minds.
Twisted Minds.
And I still have the T-shirt that the drummer's mom made each of us. Kirk Blackadar, Kyle's cousin.
Phenomenal.
Fertile grounds for percussionists, the Dundas region.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah. So, anyways, I heard this song and I just became obsessed with it. I went out and bought the Blue album, and I remember listening to My Name Is Jonas starting, and just the whole thing. I became completely enthralled by that album, and I think that I spent the entire summer of 2004 sitting inside trying to learn the songs on guitar, being completely unable to do it because it was just above my pay grade at that point.
Yeah.
But still kind of learning, being able to plunk out little bits of it. But really going through the extremely frustrating and very slow, but extremely rewarding process of learning to play guitar to the Blue album.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's something that will never die for me. We connected intensely with that, and it was really Kyle that was just like, yo, but have you checked out Pinkerton? And I'm like,
and there you go.
Not really. And then I remember I downloaded it or bought it off iTunes or whatever, and I was just like, this is a whole nother level of sass. I love it.
It's so great.
It's great.
You described something, because I'm a generation before you, and so I was there when it was all happening in real time. But the way you described it was so interesting because it cycled the same way for you, which is the music was bleak and depressing and downer. We all loved it at first.
Yeah.
But then we needed that breath of fresh air. And that's what was happening in the early 90s. I was 12, 13 when Smells Like Teen Spirit drops.
Right.
And so it was like at first we were all leaving glam and hair bands, and then all of a sudden it's this. And at first we were like, fuck yeah, I'm going to just go mope in my room and be angry. But then after a while you get a little fatigued and you're like, I'm just a kid. I'm still falling in love and feeling like all excited about things and awkward in my puberty. And then along comes Rivers, and it was like this breath of fresh air that we really needed. So it's amazing that same cycle kind of repeated itself, which is you find this incredibly morose artist, Cobain and that story and how tragic it is, and you went through the same thing, which is incredible. It's a phenomenal work of art, but every now and then you're like, I need a break, man.
Yeah,
I need a break.
This is a dinger of a story, and some pretty, I mean, so when I got, and I think that for me, I was really, the thing about Weezer that I gravitated towards the most was the guitar playing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of later that I really started to, once I started getting into writing songs more, that I really started to appreciate that aspect of particularly the Blue album. But the thing that I was kind of most focused on and researching and obsessing about was the guitar playing, because the funny thing is about it is that a lot of it sounds really easy and did to a 13-year-old version of me, and then I'd sit down and be like, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Absolutely.
But it's effortless pop rock guitar music, particularly on that album, and it gave me the kind of the tenacity to get better at guitar.
Absolutely. And you have chops. I'm
better than I was when I was 13.
Yeah, I was going to say you have chops, and a lot of people don't know Rivers was into metal and came from that as well.
Right.
And so it's that ability to be able to master one thing and then move into the other, and it's always underlying what you're doing. Like people like these pop melodies and the way that he plays, it's like, as an outsider, they would be like, oh, well, that's just a bunch of power chords. But it isn't. It isn't. There's a lot more going on, a lot more at play. So, particularly like when you get into the, I think that
towards some of the stuff I think that really left a huge impact on me too is some of the production stuff on that record and in the guitar department, like the feedback stuff that he was doing seemed to me to be, I hadn't really heard somebody use feedback that way, guitar feedback. And it's funny because like when most people think of Weezer now, I don't think that's the first thing that you think of. It's kind of, because they've had a lot of music that's really a lot more slickly recorded but the Blue Album is not a slick record. It's a fantastic sounding record, but there's a lot of space on it. You can hear things. Agreed. And you can hear things kind of crunching out a bit that you do not hear kind of past the Pinkerton period. And I think that the perfection of the guitar feedback and the something like The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, or In the Garage, or especially, I mean, Only in Dreams, I think left a big impression on me as like, in terms of like trying to, once you get done a crop of songs, make a more ambitious one to maybe close out an album with. Oh, man. I think that's pretty ingrained in our DNA at this point. But, I mean, just to kind of build off what Kyle said, one of the challenges of learning guitar in that period too is that like the internet was not as we know it today. I think that's probably common knowledge. But 2004 or so, like if you could find a video of somebody doing what you were attempting to learn, it was a very good day. Now you can find anything all the time. I know. And so I would print these guitar tabs off, and it's just like, it wouldn't format correctly. And totally. I was just doing my best.
Yeah. Another thing that we've talked about on the show before is that thank God that Instagram guitarists weren't a thing when I was 13, because Jesus, I would have quit. You know what I mean? Because there are these guys that they play so fast, because I was already intimidated as a young musician. You already are. Like we talked about, the first bands I was into were Metallica and Megadeth, and that's before the grunge explosion. And I got my first guitar, and I was like, I'm never gonna be able to play like these kids, ever be able to solo like them. And the great thing about what happened in the 90s was you finally got this like really messy, sloppy guitar playing that became popular, and like, all right, cool, I could do it too.
I could do this.
I could do this too.
But now you get those like guys that are like sweep picking or doing like stupid. I hate all that shit so much.
Yeah, it's not something I enjoy watching. I'll do like a YouTube highlight reel of like a guy who's a guitar player. He's like, these are the top 10 craziest guys on Instagram or whatever. But
fuck off.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Kyle says fuck off.
Yeah. None of it's musical to me.
It's masturbatory. It's just jerking off.
Even with drums, people would be like, yo, have you seen this? And I'm like, get that away from me. I don't want to see it.
It takes a different kind of person, I think, to really, that's what the instrument is about, right? It's to kind of show, look at how fast or how many tricks I can pull. That's very different than songwriting. It's very different, and so there are people that's the path that they go down, and then there's the other path. So
and kudos for the work that they put in.
Yeah, right. I'll never be able to do it, nor do I want to, really. Right. I mean, that's the key is, I think at 12 or 13, I wanted to be able to play as fast as Kirk Hammett or, like Yngwie Malmsteen, but over time I was like, those guys can do what they do, and I'll do what I want to do over here. But it's, I wanted to say, growing up and being Canadian, oftentimes when I highlight bands that I grew up with, I get a lot of messages all the time about bands from Canada that just didn't get their due in the U.S. Do you guys have like
a long list?
Oh, it's a long list. Would you have one that you would say like, this is a band that I grew up listening to and people in the States just don't know?
Yeah, well, I think we got to go with the Constantines.
Yeah, I don't even know the name.
Oh,
well, I think they've been celebrated in Canada, but and widely kind of the elevator pitch is it's a mixture of like Nebraska style Springsteen and Fugazi.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were on Sub Pop.
Oh, wow. I should have known about him, and maybe it's come across my path, but it's one of those things that, again, so much music, so little time, right?
Yeah, but just one of the most kick-ass rock bands that we ever got to see, and I was the first person in our friend group that like heard of them. Like I saw them at a club in my first year of university because I heard they were on this label that was putting out stuff that we were enjoying at the time called Arts and Crafts. And I went to this show and I had my face ripped off by, and just, I'd never seen a band that was that in control of their dynamics and could be like really loud. And then like you could hear a pin drop, and their drummer, Doug McGregor, was just like, I can't say enough good things about the Constantines. They have a flawless discography. I think they have 5 records?
Are they still going?
4 records.
No.
They're on like an indefinite hiatus. But Bry's still making music. Steve's still making music. I'm not sure what Will's up to. Doug's been playing around in different bands. But absolutely fantastic rock and roll band. And the record that we kind of first heard was the album that they were promoting at the time, which is called Kensington Heights. Okay. And that's their last full-length record. It came out in 2007. So
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, yeah. So, but they've done reunion shows, and those are always a real treat, very special thing. But I would say the Constantines, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we went to the first reunion show. It was crazy.
Did you? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask you, had you crossed paths with Weezer?
No.
Yeah.
No, I would love to.
Friends,
yeah.
We've had friends that have, but not us.
I haven't either. I mean, I just got to see the Voyage of the Blue Planet tour, which is great. It was really fun.
Nice.
It's like where they come out. Have you heard about this thing where it's like the space?
I had some friends to go to it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really it's cheesy, but in the best kind of way. You know?
Yeah, in a very Weezer way.
In a very nerdy Weezer way, which I love about them. But but back to the Dirty Nil. The band forms, and all these years that I've listened to your music, I've never thought once to ask myself the question about the naming of the band, of the Dirty Nil. But the one thing that I thought was so funny when I read it, which was somebody's mom didn't like it, and then that's why it became the band name, which is like the most adolescent move ever, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we were just when I think back on the very beginning of the whole thing, I just, the number one sentiment in my mind comes that we were both really excited about I had like 2 songs. Like we didn't, it was not what we had. It was just the spirit of us
band
against the world.
Yeah,
and I think that there has been a bunch of stuff that has guided us that is a deliberate, transgression against other people's taste, just to it just feels like the right move to make usually, at least internally. It just, and so that was maybe one of the first ones, but I mean, I will say that I am 35 years old now, and I still think damn, I couldn't have thought of something better.
Well, it's one of those things that it becomes its own thing.
It is.
Right?
Well, that's exactly.
It's birthed into the world. It becomes a thing. And for my listeners who don't know, it's an amalgamation, 2 bands kind of brought together as understood it to be.
And that I stole it from 2 different places.
Yes, 2 different places. And I'll let everybody do their own research. You can figure out.
Yeah, you can crack the code.
Yeah, crack the code, the Dirty Nil code. No, I love it. That feeling of being with a friend when you're young and you're not even necessarily that good at your instruments yet, but sitting around and dreaming up a band name and then drawing this is what our album's gonna look like. It's just that feeling of we're gonna start a thing, and you did. You started a thing, and here you are, almost 20 years later. You're doing it. You put out great amount of music. You guys are pretty prolific. I wouldn't say there's these long pauses between albums. It seems there's been 5. We're on the 5th one, correct? Yeah. And this is really since that.
You could argue 6 because there's a comp record. So a lot of songs.
Yeah, a lot of songs. And the first record is 2016. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
2016. And that's essentially the time it took from the band's iteration to getting that first record out. You guys really, that is a testament to sticking with it, because a 10-year push to get to that point. And a lot of people, that's where they turn in their squires and they don't want to do it anymore.
Yes.
But you kept with it. And I'm glad you did.
Become real estate agents.
Yeah.
No shade to anybody that's a real estate agent.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. But one of the things that always grabbed me when I would hear your guys' albums before we get to the Lash, I loved it because, first of all, there is that power pop, the Weezer, the vocal lines, the stuff that I hear, the inspiration, the anthemic big arena rock that's in there, but the thrash, the sudden rapid palm mute, or the pinch harmonics like your fucking Pantera, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden there's a riff in there and I'm like, that's a metal riff. That is a straight up thrash homage in the middle of this song. And that has always been one of the coolest things that I think you guys do. That it's just like, nobody else does that. Nobody else has this song that's got these like really catchy melodies and all of a sudden just like metal. Yeah. Did you start doing that early on?
Well,
Fun.
I would say that the kind of the thrashier stuff and the faster stuff kind of started coming in later. I'd say I think that we were not good enough on our instruments to play that stuff. Early on, it was more we were more kind of like Black Sabbath-y, simple.
Nirvana, noisy, bends and
exactly. But we, I think, kind of starting, I don't know, probably 10 years ago or a little less. Like it just became much more fun. I mean, I just started learning a ton of thrash songs on guitar, and I think we just got more into the more extreme side of rock music, and naturally, like, to amuse ourselves and each other, we'd be like, just throw each other some stuff and be like, that's cool. But I just found like I really fell in love with Hetfield's playing in my kind of early to mid 20s in a way that I didn't as a kid as much, because the album that we got, or the album that was kind of being that I remember was the big one for me was the Black album, when we were listening to all this Weezer and stuff. And Black Album's cool. I respect the cool ambition.
Absolutely.
But I didn't come to the first four until a while later, like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, Metallica was always the Black Album and the Some Kind of Monster documentary, of which Kyle's wearing the t-shirt. He got it yesterday.
So good. I'm really hoping this interview goes down that road. We just completely start falling apart.
One of our favorite.
Start quoting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should we just?
How many times have you seen it?
Should we just watch Some Kind of Monster right now?
Absolutely. Let's just end the interview. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
That's good, right? That's a wrap.
Good. That's
TV right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it took like I remember hearing Hit the Lights and being like, who is this? And it's just like, this is Metallica. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know. And then it all started clicking for me, like, oh, the reason why people have kind of forgiven them for so much stuff is because of those first four or so albums.
Yeah, the foundation of what they did.
It doesn't matter what happens anymore.
Nope.
Like, they have Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. Like,
and I don't care about no bass on the album.
It
still
doesn't
fucking,
matter.
Everybody, whenever I talk about that album, goes, no bass. I'm like, still fucking rocks. It's
it
still an
rips.
amazing.
It doesn't matter.
One is on there, guys. You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've put out, like, there's been a song or two since that period where I'm like, that's a good song. Yeah. It's a good song.
Sure.
But
we all feel that way.
Yeah, but then from there you kind of get into like, and then Kyle was fortunate enough to see Power Trip while Riley was still alive, and we just got more into ripping stuff, and so
I get it completely, and that Metallica's older than I am, which is, you know what I mean? It's like, those albums were coming out when I was so young that I also, similar, Black Album is that mainstream hit. Like Inner Sandman is on MTV, And it doesn't even have to be on Headbangers Ball. It can
No.
literally be on like regular rotation.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
boy band Metallica.
Yeah, exactly. Which it's still, it's Bob Rock produced. It's slick. It's nice. There's great music on that album. But the everything before, I had seen one on Headbangers Ball around 90 with my brother, I think. And I think it kind of terrified me a little bit. Like I was kind of freaked out by this disturbing video that showed war. Johnny's got his gun and it just heavy breakdown. I loved it. I was drawn in, but it was still, it wouldn't be until that real mainstream crossover that then I went back. And that's what I think a lot of really young people, they don't understand what's the big deal about Metallica. And you're like, but because they're the first. They're like the ones who blew the doors open for thrash metal.
Yeah.
And they really, like you said, anything after doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's like, and if they can,
Nothing else matters.
nothing else matters.
Sorry, I'm a dad. Got to do the best.
No, you got to do amen.
Top tier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were a big part of it for me, but also just getting into like, our classic rock band. Like Kyle was always really into Zeppelin when we were growing up, and I liked Led Zeppelin, but it wasn't until into my 20s when I was like, oh, I get it now. Because I was just like, I remember being like 13 or 14 and getting The Song Remains the Same movie and just being like, I like The Who. I like smashing shit and short songs, or if they're going to be long songs, so there's going to be like crazy screams in them. I wasn't really, again, like, want to talk about bands that, for me at least, it's kind of like it doesn't really matter what happened later because the first period is so good.
Yeah.
Like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'll even give you Houses of the Holy and parts of Physical Graffiti. Beyond there, it gets a little thin for me personally.
Hot dog. Dude.
Hot dog indeed.
You
Kyle.
either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain in music, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like eventually, something runs out in albums sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were just listening to the audiobook of the Bob Spitz audiobook of Led Zeppelin, and
he was saying it was crazy.
I will, if be warned, I would highly recommend this book, but if you're a Zeppelin fan, you will never see the band the same way after you read this book.
It'll bum you out.
Really?
It's crazy.
Yeah, really.
It's like such a weird mix. There's just stuff that you're like, wow, this is so hilarious how idiotic and fucked up they were. And then something would come in where it's like, so-and-so punched a woman in the face. You're just like,
It's like, oh,
damn
that's
it.
That's not good.
Damn it.
that's not cool.
We all
at
used to be really shitty people back then,
Well, part of it too is that I always had so many questions. Like once I started actually discovering Led Zeppelin and getting into them on my own terms, I'd be like, why does this album sound this way? And why does this sound like it was this? And it's crazy because with Led Zeppelin, you have this paradox of like, they're the biggest, most commercially successful band in the world, yet they're being managed by a coke fiend and everything is such a mess that everything is an improvisation. They have to sort out everything at the last minute. This should not be. Right. This should not be.
It
but
should not
yet
work.
when it gets explained in this book, it really all starts to click that this was a freight train of a catastrophe, like basically waiting to happen. It was nuts. And especially past that first period of just like everybody's really sharp, everybody's getting things done, they're working quickly, they're delivering the goods. Past kind of 72, even 73, like it to me there's like a hard demarcation line between like early, like that's you have the early Led Zeppelin, and then you have like basically them limping towards Bonham's death, even though they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Let's get to The Lash. The new record just came out.
Yeah.
Yep. 1 week today.
1 week today. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's excellent. And from what I've been reading, you guys feel like this is one of the favorite things you've done in
Definitely.
in a while. And what do you think that is about this record?
I don't know. It's hard to quantify and even describe why I feel really strongly about it, but I can tell you that I haven't felt this way about all of our records. I think that there's always kind of been there, even with records that we've had that have done well for us. I've felt like I'm really proud of that song. But I'm not exactly super stoked about how that song turned out, and maybe it has to do with my memory of recording it and the vibe in the studio. There's none of that with this one. I feel really strong about all the songs. I feel really strongly about how we all played them, and it was just fun to make. I don't believe that tension has led to better results not in all of recorded music, but in our case we're our best when we're having fun. And I'd imagine a lot of bands are like that. I was really having fun writing the songs for the record. I mean, like I was definitely feeling like I was on a heater in terms of just like, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. And then I think the other ingredient too is that after we had recorded Free Rein to Passions and got out into the world and seen that we not only that we still have fans after the kind of lockdown period, but we have more fans now, and just kind of feeling like the confidence that we can relax and we can enjoy this. I think that really animated our process throughout making this record, and I think our playing collectively and our confidence in just playing has come to a place where, I can write a song like Spider Dream and we can bust it out, and instead of what we used to do, which is, okay, let's speed this up to double the speed, change a new key, or change the key, simplify it so that it's just like ba 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 ba, which is kind of how we would do anything that I wrote on the acoustic guitar before. This time I was like, well, let's just play it the way it is, and Kyle's playing is marvelous on it. I
Fantastic.
mean, we didn't, and I think that's the reflection of not only like our confidence as musicians, but just like our laid back. We didn't think very much. I don't like thinking about rock and roll. I think thinking and rock and roll are not exactly a marriage made in heaven. I think when you just do. The best things happen, and that's
100%.
That's kind of what we did this time.
100%. And yes, amazing drumming.
Thank
that
you.
song that starts out with "fuck it."
Oh
Yeah.
There you go. What's the name of that song?
Do you want me?
Do you want me?
Yeah. Realize that I have the only F bomb on the record.
Yeah.
That's you?
The only reason why we got the parental discretion thing is because of Kyle.
Is that a real "fuck it"? Like we're rolling in a studio and it's just caught live there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so great. Yeah, it's great drumming. There's that Sum 41 influence.
Yeah, bit of that.
And John Bonham and
John
all the heroes, all the
guys.
heroes. Yeah. There's something about, I guess, getting older too, just being comfortable in your own skin and being vulnerable and being yourself.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Which I think was a big part of this one.
I can sense it.
I think we were just feeling more comfortable in the band and with each other and with what we do. And like, I know me personally, thinking back to something Jimmy Chamberlain said about playing drums and like making
My
records.
favorite drummer of all time.
There you go. I'm sure you've seen this video. I think he does like a playthrough of Tonight's Tonight, but he talks about how Gish just has all that. He's like, it's your first record. You're playing everything you can.
Yes.
He's like, don't do that. But I definitely just had like, I was trying to play with more restraint. Than I usually do. Not that I think I'm like a crazy drummer.
No, but I get it.
Record.
Space. We talked a little earlier about allowing space in songs.
Just keeping it simple and being like, does it need to do this or can it just be this? Mm-hmm. And that was fun to have that approach.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of vulnerability on this record in terms of like just kind of laying yourself bare. At least, I mean, not that you hadn't done it before, but there's something about the Lash all the way through. Even Rock and Roll Band. There's this kind of like, I'm gonna just share this frustration that I have about being on the road, and a very honest and it's kind of like that attitude, but it's a very honest thing to do. And then don't even get me started on This Is Me Warning Ya. Holy shit. When I first heard this album and I got to that, I was like, what? This is great. That is a very powerful piece of music.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was pretty stoked on that one.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn how to finger pick, as you might be able to hear on the recording.
No, it sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
But that was the, I had to go meet up for lunch with my mom, and I had like half an hour, and I was like, I kind of have this idea.
Yeah.
I had a house to myself, and I wrote that song, and I got it. I was like, maybe I'll do a bridge later. I was like, I gotta run, and I was like, no, it's fine. So no, I was feeling really stoked on that one. I think with like the vulnerability in the lyrics and stuff, it's something I never ever think about ever. You
just write what's
I just open my head and make sounds, and then sometimes people say, are you sure you want to say that? And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, I like how it bounces. I like how the words bounce. I read a lot. I listen to a lot of speeches and oratory and stuff. And I'm count me in the camp that thinks that like oratory and like the spoken word is more to do with the rhythm and phonetic bounce of words rather than their strict meaning individually. Sure. And so I just try and amuse myself with the bounce of words, and meaning can go fuck itself.
Yeah. E. Cummings just playing around with what letters look like.
Right.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal thing, and I've always sensed, I think that's fair. You're just writing a feeling, and there's something that probably is what just comes with growing up and doing this for a while. And so you're able to access these points a little quicker, a little easier than from where you were 10 years ago. It's
totally.
Getting more to the core of you. Because, on Fuck Art, when that came out, I remember showing people Doom Boy right away. I would be like, okay, check out Doom Boy. And my favorite was, it's my mom's Dodge Caravan. Yeah. There's a sense of humor. There's this quirkiness. It's unafraid to just say the funny thing in that song, that sense of humor. And that comes really naturally. And then on this album, you still get that. You still get that. There's a playful side, but it just comes out a little bit different, just like a different chapter in life, as it should be. You're writing from an honest place if it sounds like the music has grown up with you. And I think I experienced that from the first record to the latest. And on This Is Me Warning You, I did want to say, great vocal scoop. Not a lot of vocal scoops in songs these days. I would say, here's a crooner move. But I would say I haven't heard that good of a vocal scoop since Wind Beneath My Wings. So
damn.
I think Bette Midler, you're giving her a run for her.
Woo! It's me and Bette at the top of the mountain.
No, I love it. Because it's not something you hear often. A scoop is especially in rock music. You know what I mean? Right. So that's a great choice.
Well, thank you. I mean, I grew up on Sinatra and lots of big band stuff.
I heard that in that for sure.
Like when I hang out with my folks, they'll always be like, "You're not coming in unless you bring your guitar." So I'll bring my guitar, and they'll always request me to sing all these Frank Sinatra songs and stuff. So
that's adorable.
Yeah,
that's adorable.
Honestly, I think that's at the end of the day my favorite. I think the Sinatra treasures right there.
Oh, look at that.
I think Frank Sinatra is my favorite recording artist of all time, probably. At the end of the day, it's my comfort food. I remember it from my childhood, and I get a lot out of listening to him sing.
Did you ever hear the urban legend growing up? I don't think it's true at all, but people would love in music circles. They would say, because you could probably disprove this on TikTok like in 2 seconds, but somebody said like, "Oh, Frank had a problem with rhythm." And so one of the reasons the style that he kind of meanders and go whatever, that he had a hard time kind of like staying on beat, and that's why he developed that Sinatra style. And people would say that all the time, and as the older I've gotten, I'm like, I think that's absolutely bullshit. I've heard him hit on orchestra strikes like flawlessly, like didn't miss a beat, not off rhythm, unless they thought they'd get killed if they don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Frank will kill us, But I'd always heard the story that he didn't quite know how to follow a tempo very well.
I find that hard to believe.
I do too. I do too.
Since he recorded it all like as one thing.
Yeah.
It's not like he's in there singing over a track.
Right.
One of my favorite stories about him, though, like in a recording studio, is "Strangers in the Night" and how much he hated that song. He's just
great.
like, and Sinatra, like, one of his, because he didn't write any songs, he just sang them. Like that was the standard, that was the way it went at the time. But he would meticulously choose like that song is going to be good. Like he would basically hear people come in and pitch songs to him, and he would be like, no, I like that one. And somebody on one of the rare, if I have this correct, again, I don't know, somebody might correct this, but I think on one of the rare occasions that somebody talked him into doing a song because he didn't really like it, but he did "Strangers in the Night," got talked into doing it, and at the very end of the song, he's like, yeah, like as it kind of fades out, because he was just like, I'm done with this song.
Yes.
He's just like, I don't care about this song, and it became like one of his biggest hits. And he's just like there's a quote about it. He's just like, that's a piece of shit song, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. And it goes back to the point about not overthinking things, not letting your brain get involved. The episode that airs before this of my show, I did Nirvana's In Utero, and when I was researching that album, a lot of those songs Kurt wrote in 30 minutes,
right?
5 minutes. Like, it's just crazy to think, like, if you don't let your head get in the way, what can come out of it. And even for Sinatra, if he's like, I don't really care, instant hit.
Yeah, huge tune. That's why, I think that we've had times in our career where, especially from a writing perspective, I've just done my nut, like being like, is this good? Does this rhyme well enough with this? And I'm just like,
for sure,
dude, relax.
Just relax.
Better things will happen if you relax.
Yeah, I like the idea of imagining Sinatra trying to write lyrics, like write his own songs. So, you guys playing cards, just like sitting there, just trying to like how do these guys do
Frank.
this?
Yeah.
Come on, Frank, you can really think it's something this time.
Yeah.
Come on, Frank.
Yeah.
Hold a gun at a guy and be like, write me some lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But there is the last song, and forgive me because I've only had a little time with the album. I Am a Henchman, or I Was a Henchman.
Yeah.
So when I listened to that one and I was picking up on some lyrics, I was really like, oh shit, because so for me, I was raised in the Bible Belt of this country, and I was raised in a very religious, strict home, and I was a Christian kid. And one of the things about the reason we were talking before the show, why I'd never seen Metallica, my parents didn't let me, they were scared. Right. I was like, the Satanic Panic was when I was a little kid, but it kind of bled over. And so I was really sheltered from a lot of that stuff. But I picked up in those lyrics that there was kind of a leaving of the indoctrination and faith and kind of oppressive religiousness. And I didn't know if that was something that you experienced, or if it was at a vantage point that you were just writing about.
Yeah, I went to a very soft-core church when I was a kid, and Anglican,
Yeah.
about pretty chill.
Episcopal Anglican.
Yeah, it's all good, but I before any, I felt kind of alone at the time, because I was kind of in my late teens, and I just began to develop an incredible contempt for religion, and I was just told by everyone around me, like, everybody's free to do whatever they want. I said, that's true, but these motherfuckers are deciding policy, and that's not okay with me. Okay. They're oppressing women. Mm-hmm. They're like, I developed a fervent anti-religious spirit when I was 20 years old or so.
I get it.
Became obsessed with Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, I love Hitchens.
Hitchens is my intellectual hero.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I could listen to him talk all the time, and I do.
Yeah.
I listen to him talk all the time.
I do too.
Yeah, so I just became really enamored with that stuff, and I think a lot of the people around me like were they just weren't thinking about it, which is fine. Like, you can choose your own reality. But to me, I was just like, dude, this is insane. How are we letting this happen?
Right.
And so, yeah, I've been a very, pretty staunchly, secular person, shall I say, since I was in my late teens, I don't know. I never really believed in this stuff. But
I'm one of the people that was deep in. And so songs like that are quite meaningful because my deconstruction has gone. I mean, I left over 20 years ago. But it's something that it takes a long time to kind of, when your entire belief system and foundation is just
your
one
reality
thing, and then you unplug one day, and then you have to navigate life like all over again. And I'm okay with that. But whenever any artist puts that aspect in their music, it always touches a chord to me. And so that really was meaningful, and I think you will find others it does, because we're living, I think, in a time of probably the greatest deconstruction we've witnessed because of the internet, because of being able to have a conversation. Whereas when we were kids and before we could talk about it, you just grew up in your town, you went to church, you believed what you believed. And now you actually have people like looking in the camera and being like, these are the reasons that don't make sense to me. And like you said, it'd be one thing if it was like, oh, it's just what I believe. Of course, believe whatever you want. But it's whenever you're literally dictating the world, the environment around us, and telling me what I can and can't do because of your belief system, and that has to stop.
Precisely. I think
so deep on Waterproof Records today.
Well, I think I think that part of the when I was writing the lyrics for that song, I was just thinking about having a big conversation. My dad was like, he was I would just say like classic Canadian Christian, which is just like, we go to church. Like, I assumed Canadian Christian's different than American Christian. It's got to be a little dialed, little less firepower, brother.
Less fire.
We still got some
weaponry.
We still got some wild ones.
Yeah, you do. I'm sure. But every Canadian I've ever met seems pretty chill in comparison to anybody down there.
And I think that I remember these conversations with my dad when I was a teenager being like, I'm not going to church anymore. And he's just like, why? Like, and I'm like, because none of this is real. First of all, I want my Sunday morning. It's like the one time that I get to myself.
Oh my God.
I know I'm 16, but I'm not going anymore. Like, I'm not holding a candle listening to all this, like watching everybody else fall asleep. Again, very softcore, chill church. But my dad just being like, well, you have to believe in something. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I don't have to choose. And I'm proud of the fact that I slowly turned my dad into a secular atheist person as well, just being like, this, here's this Hitchens book, here's this Dawkins book, like, come back to me when you've read it all and we could talk. And then he did, and he was just like, all right, you're on. But he wasn't hardcore about it either. He was just like, it's one of the things that allows society to not devolve into caveman shit.
We've always done it. We've always done it, and you'll do it too. You know what I mean? That's the thing. But okay, out there in the world, if you hold dear your faith,
of course.
We're just talking about when it kind of opens your door, kicks it down, and says, "Do what I do."
Keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. I don't need to know about it.
It's one of my favorite Hitchens lines. Like it's just like, people are. You are free to have your own thoughts on this stuff as long as you keep it to yourself. Out of the side of his mouth. Go check out Christopher. If you think God's cool, check out Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, you're into God? Check out Hitchens.
Get yourself a bottle of Blue Label and
absolutely, really, really go for a trip. And then the album cover. When I first saw it, I was like, "That's pretty metal." To continue, that's a pretty brutal dark. I thought this was going to be a black metal album with you like But it's awesome. It's kind of a cool, different style from what you guys have been doing with the colorful, bright pictures, and I liked it.
Yeah, we wanted to reset the color palette a lot. I think especially on Free Rein to Passions, and to some degree, Fuck Art also is.
Yeah.
A lot of color, a lot of pastel, a lot of very vibrant plumage to the presentation.
Plumage.
Maxed
out is right. So we wanted to go with something much starker and harder, and very fortunately we were able to link up with Jack Sabat on Instagram. He's over in the UK, but he does everything hand drawn. He's hand drawn these or hand painted, I guess, these shirts that we're wearing on stage, and they're come see us tonight in LA. I guess you already are,
I'll be there for sure.
To see how much they've degraded over the tour.
They're holding up though.
They're holding up pretty
Jack
well.
Sabbath, 1H away from being Jack Sabbath.
Yes, exactly.
So close.
Yes.
Just add it in there, Jack.
Yes.
Just add it in there. That's great. Yeah, and then the title, The Lash. So I'd read that a lot of the inspiration for the album cover came from the Vatican and the artwork that you saw there. Not the Christian iconography, but the more brutalist work.
Yeah, I mean, some of the Christian iconography is amazing. I mean, like that's kind of what I wanted to see it for. I was just like, just because I don't share the same belief system as people from the 1500s doesn't mean I
great art.
Yeah, I was off in this kind of like more remote, less popular corner of the Vatican basement, and I saw these bronze bas reliefs, and it blew my mind. It was the coolest thing that I had seen, and like some of the hardest shit I've ever seen. Like, and so yeah, we tried to get it licensed, but the Vatican said no. And they have a very good legal team. So
you think?
Yeah.
Vatican probably has the greatest legal team in the world.
Probably.
Slow on emails, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they are slow on communication.
Pick it up, guys.
Well, they are boomers, I'm
It's
sure.
Italy.
They're waiting for a word upon high, you know?
Yeah, right? Should we answer?
Waiting to hear about.
We got to pray about it.
God's got this.
Yeah. Send him an Evite. But The Lash is phenomenal. Is there any kind of final things? I've already borrowed you for a full hour of your time, and you've got a show to get ready for tonight, which I will be at. I know. I love it. I love getting a chance to talk with you guys. I've been super excited to meet you, and I knew we would connect on bands and music for sure. So you're on tour now, and then is it go home, take some time, and chill, or is it jump into another?
Nope. We are going home.
2025.
Yeah. We are playing more shows this year than we've ever played.
Wow.
In our whole career.
That's incredible.
And no. Like this is our biggest year of shows.
Yeah.
So far.
That's amazing.
This is already our second full U.S. tour.
That's awesome.
Of the year, yeah.
Longer than the first one.
This will be my first time seeing you guys play live, and I'm really excited about that. For sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good time.
Yes. Well, after this tour that we are on tour with Heart Attack Man and Carpool and Dear Seattle. We finish this tour up, then we head home. We get to kind of get a breath, and then we got to get back into some work, and then we hit the road again in a couple weeks, and we do Southern Ontario and Quebec, and then we go to Europe as part of the Common Threads Festival. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then we have more tour dates that we haven't announced yet for the rest of the year.
Exciting.
So we'll see you at Christmas.
Yeah, rest.
We get home in December and I'll be sleeping.
Yeah.
For many, many nights.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, and did I read that your dog was on Gallop of the Hounds?
Yes, Leo. Shout out to my sweet baby boy.
Sweet baby boy. That was awesome. Yeah. I listened. It's just it's like making noise in the cacophony of
You have to tell him about cattle call.
Okay, so Leo has this song.
He's been trained.
There's a song by Eddie Arnold called The Cattle Call. Okay. There's several different recordings. I find this is about in a lot of like 1960s, 50s country artists, there's like, I like that song by that guy. And then there's like 10 different recordings by that guy of that song. So there's only one specific recording of Eddie Arnold singing the cattle call. But if you play it for my dog, he could be dead asleep. He's a cattle dog, by the way. And he could be dead asleep and he will just shoot up and start howling along to the entire song, closed his eyes and his tail's wagging the entire time.
Like a blues man, just like...
he's crooning.
It seems like he's trying to match the pitch. I might be overstepping there.
I think
he is.
Yeah, we can show. I'll show you.
I've got to see it.
It's very worthwhile.
I've got to see it.
But
a good party trick.
Yes.
Yeah. So we brought Leo in after our respective representatives finally reached an agreement. They hardballed us pretty hard, but we got him in there.
You got him in there, Leo.
We got the talent in there.
Leo.
Yes. We got him howling and then took him out and got him a cheeseburger after. So
well done.
He was happy.
Well deserved. I'm glad we got to touch on that as the last story before we go out. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in to the studio, talking with me today. I'm stoked to see you play. Excited about what's been going on in the Lash. There's been a lot of positive response, and I'm excited to share with my audience. I've talked about the Dirty Nil before, but like everybody needs to check out what this album is, and I really think it's fantastic work.
Well, thank you so much for having us, Jacob.
Yeah, guys, really appreciate it. So that's it.
Hail, hail, rock and roll.
Waterproof Records with Jacob Gibbons.
I say it every time. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I say it every single show. I go, here I am. I'm just going through my life, just a 40-year-old dad. I make a couple videos on the internet, and before I know it, I get to talk to heroes, legends, new bands, older bands, people that I love their work and inspire me every day, and I get to share them with you. And it was a joy to talk to the guys from the Dirty Nil. I'm so stoked to see them play in LA this weekend, and I'm going to share some of that footage on my socials and maybe even in this episode as well. But they were great guys. I knew they would be. I knew we'd get along very well, and I'm hoping that if you hadn't heard of them before, I've now introduced you to the Nil, and you should definitely check out the Lash, but go back and check out the other albums. They're all very catchy, great songwriting, high energy, just greatly recorded, really full. These guys really know how to put out some good tunes. So check out the Dirty Nil. I'm sure there's some socials that you could be following of theirs. Go buy their merch, buy their vinyl, whatever it is that you want to do to support this band so that they can keep being a rock and roll band. Thanks again for joining me. And of course, distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. Save you that 30%. And I cannot forget to thank Pantheon Podcast, the home of Waterproof Records. I'm so grateful for Pantheon. They really are the biggest music podcast network out there. And I've been with them now for over a year, I think. And it's been great to be surrounded by so much talent. And so Pantheon Podcast is how this show gets to you. So thank you, Pantheon Podcast. But thank you most of all to you listeners. It's good to be back. It's good to be churning out episodes again. We've got another guest coming up here in the studio very, very soon. So I'll keep you posted on that. But once again, this is Jacob Givens from Waterproof Records signing off. I'll see you next time.
Things are gonna change. I can feel it.
If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna